I know it's been a while, had to get the style right. Went into overdrive, flying through them red lights. Been about this life like I'm writing my story, picking up where I left off like the people before me. The cycle never ends, my journey about to begin. They already know my name, but I'm only settling in. A breath of fresh air is all that I need. Trying to unlock potential, I'm on the search for the keys. Inner peace is what keeps my chakra flowing. Meditate in the avatar state and seize the moment. Slay omens, we only bring good vibes. When you lost in the dark, good music guides. Reach inside, bring your whole soul alive. Fuel the fire, make some noise if you inspired. Yeah, I hope you know the sky's never been the limit. Remember that the greatest ain't always the first to finish. Close my eyes and imagine where I wanna be. Never too busy to come home and rock it locally. Getting high off these bars, check the potency. Spreading love is what hip-hop's supposed to be. Close my eyes and imagine where I wanna be. Never too busy to come home and rock it locally. Getting high off these bars, check the potency. Spreading love is what hip-hop's supposed to be. New beginnings, I'm taking this life in stride. Surrounded by love, damn it's good to be alive. Reviving fallen souls that wanna listen to me. Follow your dreams, become what you wanted to be. That's what I've done since day one. I come with realness. On the way to the top, ride the flying nimbus. I'm mad ambitious, third eye with the visions. Bars so sweet over beats too delicious. Chasing riches, never worry about the bills. I just wanna write this music and polish my skills. Take notes and slow will leave you slipping. Knowledge is everywhere, all we gotta do is listen. Close my eyes and imagine where I wanna be. Never too busy to come home and rock it locally. Getting high off these bars, check the potency. Spreading love is what hip-hop's supposed to be. Close my eyes and imagine where I wanna be. Close my eyes and imagine where I wanna be.
Haha, look at that. Sick new transition that I got for free off of the internet. Hello. It is just really basic, but it is, in fact, a transition. It's a stinger. And honestly, it's not that bad. Manic, thank you for the host. Okay, so hi guys, how are y'all? First and foremost. Whoa. Yeah, there was a Kit 10. Hold on. They're there. He's there. He's also right there, and he was asleep a second ago. But he's no longer asleep. So back to this. Hi. How are y'all? How you doing? How was your Friday and Saturday? Because I'm gonna ask how y'all are. I'm not gonna be a butt. Hi, Manic. I'm not gonna be a pain in the butt. I found today, I was looking up free VTuber stuff, like asset stuff, because I'm just like, man, I need to improve my stream still. And so, like, I'm paying tiny for backgrounds and all this stuff, and I was like, I need to look up stingers. So I did, went down a rabbit hole of like free VTuber assets, which gave me the purple stinger that I just used, and also gave me a free pet the whatever for any image you want. And I was like, this is really powerful, but I don't know if I want to release that power. I could pet all the things. Oh god, Mimic. Oh no. Okay. So you gotta pet all the things. Oh, that's a mood, women. I am actually not feeling too sick today, which is kind of nice. And I think it's just because I woke up and made food and took my pills with food. And that's a pain in the ass for me to do. But, you know, it's fine. We're going to try really hard to not open my previous commission. Because it is not exactly safer stream. Don't worry about that part. It's fine. Let me check my pin real fast. Yep, pin's good. Hello. It's me. Mario. It's me, Chris Pratt. Anyway, sorry. Okay. So, does anyone want to go first and foremost? Today, we are doing Doodlefort. We are going to learn better ways of studying, because y'all still seem to have a little bit of trouble with this. Not a whole lot, since we've done this Doodlefort twice now. But you still seem to have a little bit of trouble with it. So I'm going to actually do a study in front of you guys of an animal that I have trouble drawing, or just an animal that I've not drawn before, and we're going to walk through shrimp method together, and it's going to be easy. Super easy. Sure, Mimic. So we were asked to do animal studies for the fourth time, I think. Hold on. Let me check, actually. Animal studies 2. So I think this is the third time, actually. So that's fine, Manic. I'm happy to have you, honestly. Any little bit is just trying to do a learn is enough. Okay, my pen went away. That's fun. Why did my pen go away? Okay, that's why. Because my tablet was like, let me just go ahead and give it administer privileges real quick. Don't worry about that. And we're back. Okay. So, you, Sir Mimicsworth, did in fact do, where are they? Lemurs. And honestly, pretty good choice. It's not exactly a monkey. It's got weird anatomy. Their mouths are kind of bizarre, honestly. I don't know if we needed this many references, but it's fine. Just because, like, they are all, for the most part, doing fairly different poses. I feel like this and this are kind of the same. But, you know, you got a lot of poses out, and that's what matters. And these are your studies, which I will say these are a lot of very finished pieces for studies. I don't know if you needed to finish every single one of these like this, but I do worry about some of the anatomy of, like, this boy, for example, and this boy's mouth. I think were my two biggest kind of, like, Well, yeah, because you want to, like, so, okay, when I say there's too many studies, I'm saying that you could get the same, like, anatomy out of this that you could this, so to speak. When you also have, like, this front-facing view and this side view, you don't fully need every single image, because then you're just going to get caught up in, like, okay, I need to copy this exact image, instead of going in and being like, well, since I know how his body looks from this angle and this angle, I can, like, go in and sketch and figure out, like, how to build the body, instead of trying to just copy the photos themselves. So I do want to go in and first mess with these two, because these are kind of the two that popped out at me that I was like, I would say just learning to do some more basic shapes and, like, not worrying about the fur would probably be worth it. Going in and just saying, like, okay, well, we want to break him down to his most basic shape, so you would know that there's, like, a circle here, and then like his ankle and so on and so forth, and just like getting the general feel of how to build said lemur instead of just drawing said lemur. And in that same vein, for the most part, there is, because I assume this is this one, there is a little bit of like layering that you didn't exactly nail, I notice, which for the most part is just the fact that this has a torso in front of it that has depth to it, because you can kind of see that the density of fur on this is a little bit less dense, or a little bit more dense than this, meaning that you have little layers to go from, giving you the idea that it is, in fact, in 3D, comparatively to how this just kind of feels like you bent him in half, so to speak. So if we were to break him down into very basic shapes, just to get a general idea of how we would like to study, let's give him a butt because we can, and that's amazing. I would actually probably group all of these toes together and just have like mitten hands just for when we're breaking things down. And then he probably has like this shape and this shape. And then I would say that's pretty much the base shapes of a lemur, right? So then you can go in and be like, okay, well, now that I know these shapes, you can go in and apply that to every single other lemur, and even go in and be like, okay, well, let's say I want to draw, I don't know, this boy, okay? This little city boy. So you're gonna think about the fact that, like, he has these very large shapes for his butt that you're gonna draw, and then there's the little smaller shapes that we have, dumb mitten hands, right? And then we still need to layer this and another one here, because his torso obviously has like more shapes to it than just those butt shapes, and that's okay. That's why we're doing this. Okay, so now we have this kind of shape to work with, and then this, and then we have a tail, and we also have his arms, which we know have a muscle right in here, and then also there's a small bend, even if it doesn't fully look like it. And you're like, all right, that's the most basic sort of shapes of a lemur. And, you know, you build from there. You bring down the opacity at that point, you sketch over it, and that's just bringing together the basic building blocks so that you can, like, figure out how to draw the lemur easier in the future. Because at this point, you're just sort of going in and copying photos. Do you think, honestly, Mimic, that if you sat down and opened a brand new canvas with no references, you would be able to draw a decent lemur? And that's a legitimate question. And yes, I know that goes against the fact that I say, please, Jesus Christ, use fucking references. So a study is supposed to be able to get you to draw a lemur without really needing the references. It's basically putting all the references in your brain so that you can use them later. And then if you need them still, you can go look up references and be like, oh, right, I forgot they have that big butt that I need to draw, sort of thing. So at that same point, I would also say, let me look for something real quick. Well, at that same point, I would bring up looking up skull studies and head shapes as well, because it sort of feels like you knew what you wanted to draw, and I assume you're going from this, knew what you wanted to draw, but didn't exactly get there, so to speak. And this is a really small photo to use for your reference, right? So my idea would be, okay, go in and get more references of like lemur head shapes, and you realize that they have like this very narrow mouth, actually. So then what you would do is remember that not everything needs to just be like picture perfect. It can be, you know, a little bit more acceptable to draw not exactly what you see. So now it's a little bit more narrow, and that lower jaw seemed to be jutting out a little bit more than it needed to. So now these are a little bit more even. And it's a big difference when you actually realize what like little has changed. And I would even say that I think there's actually a little bit too much of the inner mouth showing, because this is a full side view, right? So I would even like tuck this in maybe a little bit more. And I think that's a little bit stronger. And then I've, of course, you know, smushed this all together. So I would go back in and want to like bring in the fur again that's here, because there is shapes that are being lost when I just kind of smush things together. Does that make sense as to how we went from here to here? I would still want to mess with this a decent amount. I don't think it's right. Like, the changes that I've made, I don't think are exactly right. And so I would still really want to mess with this a good amount. Like the fact that it's more of like a ooh face sort of thing. And I was bringing the mouth open a little bit too far. But again, it's just about like going in and getting references and making sure that you're copying what you see, not what you think you see, so to speak, which is why I try to bring up like shrimp method and stuff, which is what I'm going to use later to basically study a horse. And for the most part, it teaches you what you need to know instead of just being like, here's a photo, you know, do a study of it. That's not what I'm trying to get y'all to do. I'm trying to get y'all to understand and be able to go, okay, well, now that Doodlefort is over, if I ever want to draw a fucking lemur, I can do that, you know? That's not like a problem for me anymore because I've gone in and done studies for lemurs. I might need to do studies again later, but for the most part, I know how to kind of draw a lemur. So, any questions from that point? I do think you're kind of focusing a little bit too much on the lighting and the fur and stuff, when the idea was just to have a animal study, basically, instead of like painting animals is what this wound up becoming, if that makes any sense. And so you wound up focusing a lot on like the fur and like the lighting and stuff, when the reality is that I wanted you just to be able to walk away and draw a lemur at any given time. You know, you can use a reference later, but again, just being like, yeah, I know what a lemur looks like off the top of my head, and I can kind of doodle one. Oh, I really should have grabbed... Oh, I did grab water. Haha, past deer was smart. Okay, any questions? Any questions pertaining to this specifically, and then any questions pertaining to anything else? I need to start looking up horse references. Shit. You're good. So, In the vein of talking about breaking things into basic shapes, here's actually a really good example of breaking things down into very basic shapes to study horses. Because they're not trying to, draw a full fucking horse at that point. They're just basically figuring out how it's built, how to draw it in motion, among other things. So, yeah. Okay. Do not save. And close this. Okay. So I would just say in the future, I don't think you need to not think studies are full images. They don't need to be colored and shaded unless you are doing a coloring and shading reference or color and shading study. That's not your goal at the end, is to make a full piece. That's not the goal. The goal is to be able to learn and draw. Okay, let me delete these. So we got 2 more, Goose and Jordy, we got 3 more, Goose, Jordy, and Whammon. Who wants to go next? I did mention earlier, this will probably be a pretty quick stream, just because, there's a lot that I'm just gonna keep repeating, basically. So, okay. So, Whammon, you mentioned being upset with what you turned in, and honestly, I don't know why. I don't know why you're fucking upset with it, because you did great. You did really great, actually. You did exactly what I've been talking about, breaking things down into basic shapes, figuring out, that the wings don't just, go like that and it's a wing. There's actually a second bend. What are you talking about? You did fine. You did great. I don't understand your problem. You went in and you figured out, how the wing bends when it goes on a skeleton. You went in and you tried to figure out the shape of the wings when they were folded in as well as when they were out. I don't really see the issue. Yes, this is ripped from this, but you went and tried to draw this on your own by referencing this. I don't see why you think you did bad. Where is this one? Well, yeah, but that's okay. I will say, be careful of poses like this, even though they're very good for studying, because you have to remember that this part is coming towards the camera. It's actually this is what your wing is winding up doing. And so just be very careful when you act like the bone is here, because it's more like that and then it comes in, because the bone is coming towards you on the Z axis, because you have Z, X, and Y, right? So if the camera is facing this way, coming towards the camera would be Z, this would be Y, and this would be X, right? So this would be just and then this one is actually coming towards you. So, just be careful of that when doing studies, because it can fuck you up and it can teach you, without realizing it, that your anatomy is wrong. Also this! You took a photo and actually went in and were okay, well the bones would be here. That's great! That's a great way to study, is doing drawovers. So I don't know why you're so upset. You did good. Also, yeah, they're native to Texas. They are very mean. If you at all drive down the road and find some roadkill 9 out of 10 times, there's gonna be a fucking black vulture that's hey, what's up? Okay, so yeah, I would say maybe doing more poses would help. I would actually also maybe mention, again, breaking things down into those very basic shapes sort of thing, because they have that ridiculous sort of neck, bone structure wise, and then bringing the spine in and and then adding on top of that and being like, actually their necks just kind of do this and hide all the bone there, sort of thing, and they're just a big floof and they're just ridiculous, and breaking down into like these base ass shapes, sort of thing. I would say some more basic shapes would probably be pretty good, just because, again, the basis for learning to draw anything is breaking it down into a basic shape, right? I have praised this multiple times, and that's why I want you guys to be able to shade a circle, or in this case, a sphere, right? There's a reason I want you to be able to do that, is because everything is broken down into basic fucking shapes. So if you, dear viewer, can take a circle and go, all right, let's do this shit, right? Then, okay, congratulations, you've just given yourself the ability to draw an eyeball, or, you know, an apple, or a vulture skull, or things like that. So learning to draw your basic shapes basically teaches you everything. Because if you can build something up using basic shapes, that's all you ever need. So now we know that it's like this, and then there's also like the centery one and shit, but we also know that the eyeball isn't just right here, and so you're shading on top of this, which means that your eyelids are kind of like this shit, and it teaches you everything, breaking things down into basic shapes. And so that's your building block for everything. I think you did fantastically. I think this drawover is great. I think your first attempt at a vulture without really knowing what you were doing was great. But learning its basic shapes is probably the only step that I don't really see. And that's okay, because everything else is fine, but it's just kind of like skipping a step. Yeah, they're mean fuckers. They're also very large. This, I don't know if that's a life-size skeleton, but it's a good skeleton. I think it is. I'm gonna say it is. Because this looks like a cat skull, or a dog. Maybe that's prehistoric and this is the correct one. Either way, it's a really good reference is what I'm getting at here. Any questions? Also, the fact that I know that this is pure ref is pretty nice. So, they big boys. They're also terrifying. It's called a wet. Okay, that's fantastic. Actually. Alright, let's open you up, and open you up, and open you up. Okay, so. Apparently, National Horse Day is December 31st. Thanks, Google. Didn't really need to know that. But I guess I'm knowing that now. Damn it, I didn't want to download your shitty picture. Okay, any questions? About anything at all in general? Anything I've said? Anything at all? A group of vultures is also known as something died over there. Oh, Jesus. Please, no. Please, no. Horses? I can't even fucking draw horses. I've talked about this before, but I remember I thought I could draw. I could do that, Goose. I thought I could draw horses as a kid, and all I did was just say they were made of peanuts, and I was like, this is what a horse looks like. Hee hee. Don't you know? This is what a horse looks like. Its body is a peanut, and then it comes up, and its head is a peanut. And I'm like, this is a horse! Yay! Horses are made of peanuts. Yeah. I suck at drawing horses still. I probably, hold on. Let me see if I can't still draw horses like I actually used to. Apparently I kind of can. But only kind of. It's kind of crap. It's fine. Listen, it's better than I would maybe have expected. Anyway, keep in mind this horse. Keep in mind this bad horse I've drawn. We'll come back to this horse. Okay? Hold on. Let me line art him first. And then we'll come back to this fucking horse. Horses are just peanuts. If you've learned anything today, that is the thing to take away from stream. Alright. This is my horse. This is my horse, guys. Isn't he great? God. Anyway. Keep this horse in mind. Yeah, this is a very pissed off horse. Okay. So Goose, I imagine that this is your actual cat, for first and foremost. Which, this is fantastic. Thank you for sharing with me this fluffy boy. I would say about the same, right? Oh god, it spills out peanuts. I would say about the same, like breaking down basic shapes of your cat, right? Like in this case, we very obviously have like these big boys here, this shape here, you know, this sort of thing going on. And then from there you can go in and be like, okay, well this is this shape, so on and so forth. But I would mention just kind of that basic shapes will probably help with like this pose, for example, because everything feels a little bit here. Here's what I can do to explain what I'm trying to say. So it's about the same. So if we were to say, okay, what's the differences between this and the ref then? Like, what did I mess up? You can kind of see that the head is a little bit more pushed in than you might have realized. I mean, of course, I'm also having to work with, like, the fact that there's still background. Hold on. Let me just get rid of that so it's more serious with you guys. Not serious, it's more exact with you guys, is what I meant. Okay. So. Same idea. You can see that you kind of like squished in the head a little bit. So his neck kind of went away. So this area just kind of went away and got smooshed in right about here. And then also you were kind of worried about the fact that this was a shadow here instead of trying to concentrate on his actual feet. In which case it winds up looking like this is his leg, when that's not exactly what's going on. His leg is actually just this sort of thing. It's more of like a bean shape. But you wound up trying to focus on this shadow instead of, again, your basic shapes, and wound up adding something that wasn't actually there. So, you did also make him a little rounder. That is true. So, his stomach stops here, and he is a little bit rounder. His feet also wound up being, I'm going by like lining up his head and his feet, by the way. His feet here seem to be sticking out a little bit too much comparatively, but I think that's just because you gave him a little bit more rotundness in the first place and you weren't really sure from here down what to do about that. And that's okay, But keeping in mind, like, okay, so if I were to break this down into more basic shapes, I would say this, and then I know that there's another muscle here because his arm doesn't just stop, right? And I would also say that this is a shape, this is a shape, and this is a shape. And then same here. So it would go up into here, and then here's his foot. And then his stomach line is here, so I would say his stomach is like actually here, right? And then you could just probably go from his lower jaw and just be like, there you go. And from there you kind of understand, because again, of course, picking like the right photos is also going to help, right? Because using this as your only photo, you're not going to know this muscle is here unless you've tried to draw cats before. And you're not going to understand that this muscle goes all the way up and is basically his entire hind haunches unless you've drawn cats before. And this as well is not going to be as great of a reference because unless you've drawn cats before, you forget that his entire arms go up to his shoulders and so on and so forth. Does that make sense? So picking the right references, okay, is a big part of learning to do studies. So, easiest thing to do is first and foremost just search cat photo, okay? And you go, all right, we need to figure out a photo of a cat that we can use as a reference. So far, a lot of these are kind of crap because the internet likes to take over the world and make everything about them. But like this photo, for example, it shows you that he has these really, these really big muscles that are part of his shoulder. And so you get the general gist that, okay, the muscle doesn't just end here, it goes all the way up towards his shoulder, which then there's a joint here and there's a joint here. And you're like, okay, so I can log that in my brain and then go back to a photo like this and be like, okay, well, there's that muscle that still needs to be there that we need to add in. Yeah, he is also very fluffy. And I would say maybe starting with a very fluffy cat would not be in your best interest. Let's see if we can't find one under cat photo reference. And the answer is yes, actually. You absolutely can. So you can see that this cat has these really big muscles that go all the way up to here. And these hind haunches also have a muscle right in here. Cats are not liquid, no. And then of course, like you could look up show cats, and that's a really good way to do it. It really just depends. But finding the right sort of reference matters. Okay, any questions before we go to the last person, before I try to draw a fucking horse and I show you guys what the fuck shrimp method is? I mean, you can. So you could use hairless cats for reference. Honestly, I'm not stopping you. Also, don't use 3D models and shit until you're like already done using photos. So you could go in and be like, okay, I understand the muscular structure, but keep in mind there are different, breeds of cat, right? Like some cats will be a lot more bulked up than this one, and some cats will be like even skinnier and like sleeker, like more oriental style cats. So it really just depends. Just think about that horse for a little bit. It's hanging out. Okay. In that same vein, Jordy, hi. Still here, hon? So, I think you did well by trying to break out of your comfort zone. I do. But I think a lot of the stuff that I've already kind of mentioned goes back to this, in the idea that you want to go in and find real photos instead of just sort of poses, because this is more of like a pose study in the end than an animal study. Because with an animal study, you're learning how the animal works and how to draw it in the future, basically. And all this winds up telling you is just different ways that yes, Evie, hi, I'm talking about you. The different ways cats will sit or stand or otherwise. So really that's all you're kind of learning from this when you're trying to study it. So again, we want to go back in and say that we need to break things down into more basic shapes, which you've lost a lot of that, because we know for a fact that there's a joint there and there's a joint here, but you kind of wound up losing it here and here in that same study, so to speak. Does that make sense? And it kind of made me realize, and this is sort of a generalization of all of Doodlefort, that I don't think a lot of you actually use shrimp method, even though I've mentioned it before, and I've pinned it to the Doodlefort chat. I don't think a lot of y'all use it, and we need to start using it. So, I don't think there's much I could really say that I haven't said previously, and I think that is enough for you. I'm not going to sit there and go, well, everything I just said all over again because you did it wrong, and that's not, that's not how Doodlefort works. It's a class, Okay, so that horse, okay? Let's go back in and say, I need a horse that has a dip in its fucking face. Hold on. Fuck it. We'll just use this horse. I'll be like, hey, so I drew a horse, right? Why does that look like that? All right, thanks, keyboard. So we go in and we go, oh shit, this looks fucking nothing like a horse, right? So the idea was shrimp method, and I've talked about this many, many times before, and we've even, like I said, pinned it to the Doodlefort channel to talk about multiple times. Shrimp method's great. You should, in my opinion, have this saved to your computer, in this opinion, at this point. So you're basically supposed to draw something and go, okay, then you find references of it. Good references, like I've mentioned. Something that shows off what you're trying to learn. Then you go in, you trace the fucking reference. Because again, tracing is not a bad thing, inherently. It is how you learn. So we're gonna go in and we're gonna be like, oh, fuck off. Yes, we're gonna be exactly like that. We're gonna go, okay, don't worry about that horse for right now. We're gonna go in and say, let's trace this horse and figure out A, its base shapes, and also B, the things that I fucked up. So, every little detail is important at this point. Congratulations, chat. You're watching me learn. It's a rarity. I mean, it's not a rarity. I learn every fucking day because that's how this works, but you know what I mean. Okay, so now we're like, okay, we now have a fucking horse head, right? Notice I didn't worry about the hair. The hair is not something I'm worrying about, okay? And so we go, all right, cool. We've now traced a thing. What do we do from there? And I go, okay, actually, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go, all right, we're going to break this down into more basic shapes and say that this is here and that this goes to here. And I'm gonna cut it off there because this is more of a dynamic shape than the rest of the head basically is. So we're gonna say that these are their own thing. And then this. Okay, so now we have our very, very basic shapes, right? So now, going from there, you're going to go in and you're going to draw this by eyeballing your reference. So we know that its first shape was basically this and this, right? But then you can kind of tell that there's a little bit of an indent right about there. And again, it's a sketch. No one gives a fuck. You're fine. You can do as bad as you want to. Sort of thing. And then we notice that there's the mouthy bits. And there's this. And then I remember, because I traced over it, that there's a fucking thing right here. Right? That's its other goddamn eye. Okay, so we're basically going in, figuring out all of its basic shapes, putting them down, putting our knowledge into practice at this point. And then its neck goes from like here. And it is hard. I'm going to mention that. It is hard for me to try to sit there and go, actually, well, yeah, I remember how I used to do this, but then realizing that actually that was wrong and I taught myself incorrectly. So, you know, having to relearn is very hard, but it's doable. Okay, so now we have this fucking, you have this fucking horse, okay? So then that means, at this point, if I really felt like it, I could sit there and go, remove all of this and say, let's draw a goddamn horse head. Okay? So I learned from that there was this sort of shape, this. I'm literally just going to be drawing about the same. Just to make this easier on us, so it doesn't take forever. So, I'm gonna be real. I don't remember exactly what this looked like, and I'm gonna go, okay, that's fine. I'm going to glance at my reference on my other monitor real quick, and then close it again. I'm supposed to have done this basically 4 or 5 more times in order to do a study for the most part. But I'm not doing that because this is Doodlefort and I'd like to take a little bit less time doing these things. Okay, and then if I remember correctly, okay, so after having studied this, quote unquote, 3 or 4 times, like I was totally supposed to do, even though Evie is attacking the wall for some fucking reason. Evie! Hey! What are you doing? Stop. You dingus. Okay, we're now gonna go in and compare it to... Wow. Do you see what I mean, though? That I'm literally unable to normally draw horses. And I don't draw them normally. This is why I picked an animal that I don't normally fucking draw. And comparing it to the other fucking horse, like, there's a big difference in skill. Because I did my study, sort of thing. And that's why I keep trying to tell you guys that, like, shrimp method is fucking great. It's something that I wish you guys would use like more, because it's really, really helpful, right? Comparatively, like, yeah, no, this isn't perfect one-to-one for this, but it's better than this shit. You versus the guy. Yes. That's what I'm getting at, though, is that studying and breaking things down into basic shapes is so fucking important. It's the most important thing that you're ever gonna take away from Doodlefort. Because if you can draw a circle, a cylinder, and a triangle, or a cone, you'll draw everything. You will literally, and a cube, I guess. A cube, a cylinder, a sphere, and a cone. If you can draw those 4 things and shade them, you can draw fucking anything. Because then all it is just putting basic shapes together. You know? It's as easy as that. It's as easy as that. And then you just gotta apply it, and you gotta keep on top of it, and you gotta keep stretching that brain muscle and that art muscle and being like, okay, this is how we do this. I gotta remember how to do this, because, or I do remember how to do this because I've practiced and I've done it multiple times. So, altogether, any questions about anything from today at all? Or any questions about not today? Just questions in general. What's the horse's name? Spooter. Shapes are everything. Yep. Okay, so, chat, what did we learn today about references and how to use them? Also, Jordy, yes, 100%. Shapes are everything. Repeat back to me, Quest. I need you to tell me so that I know you remembered. While I open up other stuff. And if you haven't taken the chance, open this fucking picture, open this goddamn picture, right click and save it to your goddamn computer. Do me that favor. Save it to your phone, save it to whatever, but use it. Pick good references, yes. Break down shapes, also yes. Anything else? Oh, why am I even, okay. Yes, thank you. Okay, that's pretty much it, I think, at this point. So I'm not gonna let y'all. I was opening up straw poll and I was like, wait, no, why am I doing that? Heck, y'all, I'm going to let you do whatever you want to do, but within 2 parameters. I'm gonna find a color palette, and I'm going to say it has to be autumn themed. That's it. Those are the only things. Heck, you guys. Yeah, no. So I'm going to go ahead and get you guys a color palette, and we are going to do something October themed, basically. So the force shrimps? No, I'm not gonna force shrimps on y'all. I am giving y'all the benefit of the doubt, first and foremost. And I'm gonna hope to God by the next fucking time we come around to animal studies or studies in general of anything, that y'all will have listened. If y'all haven't listened by the next time this comes around for the 4th fucking time, then I'll fucking yell at you and force you to draw shrimps because I'm angry. But until then, you know, it'll be fine. Okay. Of course we're gonna go fucking Reagan because they're doing a Yardy Her, and I wanted to play with them, but I'm busy tonight. And I'm busy tomorrow because tomorrow is Indieland and stuff. So, y'all have a good one. I'm gonna go ahead and post up because I already know what I'm doing. I'm gonna go ahead and post up the challenge, and I'll pick a date for it as well, just so I can figure that one out myself. Y'all have a great one. It'll probably be the 23rd. Y'all have a great one. Get the heck out of here. Get out of here. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm really, honestly, this one's just angry that this one looks so attractive. That's what it is. Get out of here. Get out of here. Goodbye. Goodbye, chat. Goodbye.